In front of the Pride Rock, animals from all over the jungle gathered to hear a message from Simba, the Lion King. He announces the birth of his second cub and sets off to reunite with Queen Nala, who is about to give birth. However, while he is away, someone needs to look after his daughter, Kiara, and Simba gives this task to his best friends, Timon and Pumbaa. As soon as the king says goodbye to Kiara, the pair take the opportunity to tell her the story of Scar's defeat. As Simba isn't around, the two make a small change to the ending, saying that it was they who defeated the villain. However, Kiara doesn't believe this story and says she's worried about the coming storm. Just then Rafiki appears, the wise monkey who lives in the huge tree in the king's lands. Seeing that the young lioness is afraid, he comforts her, saying that when Simba and his father, Mufasa, were the same age as her, they both overcame their fears and became brave lions. To prove this, Rafiki begins to tell the story of Kiara's grandfather and his journey to become the Lion King. Years ago, when he was still a cub, Mufasa and his parents, Masego and Afia, planned to move to a land called Malele, known only in legend. Despite this, they want to find a new home and give their son a better life, because the land where they live is suffering from drought. Fortunately, the rain suddenly starts to fall and all the animals celebrate, including Mufasa, who goes swimming near the dam. However, the rain starts to get heavier and heavier and the whole surrounding area is flooded. Mufasa tries to escape, but the strong waves start to push him away and his parents set out to save him. Masego manages to reach his cub and throws him towards the rocks of the dam. The little lion then has to make his way across to the other side, where his mother is waiting for him. However, just as Mufasa was about to jump towards her, an elephant is swept away by the current and crashes into the dam. The impact causes Mufasa to be thrown into the river, where he is carried away by the water and finds only a tree trunk to lean on. A few days later, Mufasa ends up in a lake, where he meets another cub called Taka. He warns him that the place is surrounded by crocodiles and Mufasa does his best to swim to dry land. As he approaches a small hill, the cub jumps and Taka tries to pull him out with his claws. Even so, the lion doesn't have enough strength and the predators are about to attack Mufasa, but then Esh, Taka's mother, appears and chases the crocodiles away. Afterwards, Esh scolds her son for risking himself, but he says he did it to help his new friend, Mufasa. The lioness fears that Taka's father, King Obasi, will not accept outsiders in his kingdom, but when she sees that the young cub is lost, she decides to take him along. When they arrive in Obasi's domain at the Shadow Tree, the king doesn't like Mufasa's arrival at all and threatens to devour him. However, Esh stands up to the king and proposes a deal. Taka and Mufasa must race to the White Tree and back. If Taka arrives first, the king can eliminate the stray, but if Mufasa wins, he will be accepted into the kingdom and raised by the lionesses. Confident that his son, who has royal blood, will win, Obasi accepts the bet and the race is on. Taka takes the lead, but Mufasa soon catches up with him and jumps towards the branches of the White Tree. However, just as he was about to jump back into the lake, the little lion loses his balance and Taka once again takes the lead. The two make their way back and, despite his best efforts, Mufasa is about to lose the race. Then Taka confesses to his new friend that he has always wanted a brother and, to spare his life, he lets him win the race. The result makes Obasi furious that his son and future king has been defeated by a stray. On the other hand, Esh is proud of Taka's noble attitude and, together with his new brother, he sets off on adventures around the kingdom. Years later, the two brothers have become young lions who are always having fun together. However, this closeness bothers Obasi, who sends Mufasa back to the lionesses and calls Taka to teach him how a real king should behave. What's more, he warns his son that one day his adopted brother will betray him and take the whole kingdom by force. Taka doesn't want to believe this and rebukes his father's attitude, who only takes advantage of a king's power and influence to sleep and feed himself. Meanwhile, Mufasa is taught by Esh how to use his senses to become a great hunter. The lioness is impressed by the young lion's ability to analyze his surroundings and recognize the tracks of his prey. She also says that if he learns to master his instincts correctly, one day Mufasa will be able to find his real parents. However, the young lion believes that they are lost forever and has already accepted his reality as a stray, without the worries or responsibilities of a king. The next day, while Mufasa and Esh were hunting in the jungle, Taka decided to watch them from hiding. However, they ended up in the territory of a pack of white lions, who were about to attack a group of antelopes. Seeing the invaders, the lions advance towards Esh and Mufasa rushes to help her. Taka, who has seen everything from afar, also sets off to save his mother, but ends up colliding with one of the fleeing antelopes and, fearing for his life, he ends up retreating. Meanwhile, Esh attacks her opponents and teaches Mufasa how to avoid the blows and counterattack. Even so, one of them knocks the lioness to the ground and prepares to deliver the final blow, which forces Mufasa to push him towards a tree trunk, causing the white lion to be wounded by one of its roots. Faced with this victory, the other white lion flees and Mufasa takes his mother back to the shade tree. On hearing the whole story, Obasi thanks Mufasa for helping his queen, while Taka remains silent, ashamed of having left her behind. However, the confrontation isn't over yet, as the surviving white lion returns to his hideout, where he meets the leader of the gang, Kiros. He reveals that a young lion has eliminated one of the members of the group, none other than Kiros' son. Enraged, the white lion orders his lionesses to eliminate the survivor for not having protected his son in the battle. He then swears revenge and gathers the lionesses to invade Obasi's kingdom. Meanwhile, the king secretly confronts Taka about what happened and he confesses that he ran away from the battle out of fear. The young lion wants to reveal the truth to everyone, but his father forbids him, as this will jeopardize his position as future king. The conversation continues until one of Obasi's scouts returns, warning that outsiders are approaching. Seeing that he must secure the future of the kingdom, Obasi orders Taka to flee, alongside Mufasa, while he and Esh stay to stop the white lion. The next morning, Esh says goodbye to her children and tells Mufasa that he must follow his parents' dream and find Malele's kingdom. Even against his will, the young lion runs away with his brother, leaving his adoptive parents who, hours later, come across Kiros and his gang. The great white lion soon proves to be more skillful and imposing than Obasi and, without having to fight, he establishes his new dominion in the lands of his rival. Knowing that the couple will not serve him, Kiros eliminates Obasi and Esh and then sets off in search of the two brothers. Far away, Mufasa and Taka run for their lives and cross the forest to the lake. Taka tells them to flee across the water, but Mufasa hasn't forgotten the trauma he suffered as a child and prefers to turn around for fear of drowning. The two brothers argue and this gives Kiros and his lionesses time to catch up with them. Mufasa then stands in front of the white lion and tells him to leave his brother alone, as he alone was responsible for taking his son's life. Even so, Kiros' desire for revenge will only be satisfied when the two brothers are eliminated and he sets out to attack them. Mufasa and Taka then flee across the river, jumping over rocks, but they soon find themselves trapped by a huge waterfall. With nowhere to run, Mufasa decides to confront Kiros, but his courage is not enough against the powerful king. To save his brother, Taka gives him a surprise attack and pulls him towards the waterfall, with both of them falling off the cliff into the water. Despite the force of the current, the brothers manage to balance themselves on a tree trunk and believe they are safe. To their misfortune, a pair of crocodiles appears and sets out to attack them, but the force of the water causes the trunk to break, pushing the two lions to another part of the lake. Later, at dusk, Mufasa and Taka finally reach dry land, but they feel that they are being watched. They soon discover that the one watching them is Sarabi, a lioness and princess from another kingdom, who has also been expelled from her home by the outsiders. At her side is Zazu, a kalau bird who serves as a guide and advisor. After the presentations, Taka is enchanted by the beauty of the lioness and invites her to accompany them on their journey to the land of Malele. Sarabi, however, refuses the invitation, as she needs to look for the lions in her pack and find something to eat. Mufasa then uses his hunting instincts and hears a flock of mandrill monkeys at the top of a huge tree, which could serve as their food. In this tree is young Rafiki, who is being judged by the other monkeys for his strange behavior. The gang then votes to expel Rafiki, but he says he's leaving because he wants to look for his missing brother. As soon as he leaves the tree and walks across the open field, Mufasa finds him and threatens to attack him. However, Rafiki keeps walking and, even when Taka and Sarabi also appear in his path, he doesn't show any fear and says he's heading towards Malele. On hearing this, Mufasa asks how he knows this and Rafiki says that in his dreams he saw his brother living in this place. He then proposes that, if the lions don't devour him, he will lead them to Malele and, even though they doubt the monkey, the group agrees to follow him. The next day, they come to a huge gorge and the only way to cross it is to turn around or go under. Following the advice of his adoptive mother, Mufasa chooses the second way, to avoid Kiros finding his footprints. Sarabi doesn't sense that the outsiders are near, but Mufasa teaches her to use her instincts, to detect them by the wind and the vibration of the earth. When she does, she realizes that Mufasa was telling the truth and follows him down the gorge, being very impressed by his skill. Throughout the journey, Taka begins to feel more and more attracted to Sarabi and asks his brother to help him talk to her. Mufasa advises him to talk about the smell of flowers that the lioness exudes, as they are reminiscent of the kingdom she comes from. With this advice, Taka sets off to talk to the lioness, but before the conversation can be extended, Kiros and his gang appear again. They start jumping down the rocks towards the group, who run to the other side of the gorge, where a huge herd of elephants is migrating. Mufasa suggests that they ask the herd for help, but seeing that the outsiders are approaching, Sarabi decides to do something more drastic. She jumps into a tree and knocks over a hive of bees, causing the elephants to run. The plan works and Kiros' lionesses are crushed by the elephants' heavy legs. However, Sarabi ends up breaking free from the tree and is hit by the legs of one of the elephants, knocking her unconscious. Taka tries to help her, but just as he did with his mother, he becomes afraid of being eliminated and hides under the rocks. Fortunately, Mufasa sees the lioness in danger and drags her to a hole in the ground, leaving her safe and saying that he won't leave her. After the confusion, the elephants leave and Kiros gives up the hunt for the time being. Luckily, no one in the group is seriously injured, including Rafiki, who survives by balancing on a tree, but the stem comes loose and he falls straight to the ground. After getting up, Rafiki sees that the stem that has come loose looks like a staff and decides to take it on the journey. He then goes to Sarabi and uses his incantations to help her regain consciousness. When she wakes up, the lioness asks who saved her and Mufasa promptly tells her that it was Taka, because he knows about his brother's feelings for Sarabi. Taka takes the credit and thanks his brother for his help, but the lioness suspects that's not what happened. The group then continues their journey to Malele and ends up in a mountainous region covered in snow. To prevent outsiders from following them, Mufasa suggests to Zazu that he use his wings to push the snow off the mountains and thus cover their tracks. Even though he's scared, the bird decides to do it and soon covers the entire road with snow. Thanks to this, Kiros and the lionesses are unable to find any trace of the group and are lost in the middle of the mountain. Afterwards, Zazu goes to report what happened and congratulates Mufasa on his great idea. Sarabi does the same and rewards him with a gesture of affection, something that makes Taka very uncomfortable. When night comes, Mufasa goes to find food for the group, but is interrupted by Sarabi. She says she knows that it was he who saved her, because only Mufasa would have known how to act in that situation, and she heard his voice comforting her while she was unconscious. Out of love for his brother, the lion tries to deny it, but when he realizes that he also has feelings for Sarabi, he reveals the whole truth. The lioness shows her affection for Mufasa and the two of them stay together on the mountainside, without realizing that they are being watched by Taka. The lion feels betrayed by his brother, believing that he has taken the one he loved. Enraged, he runs up the mountain, but ends up stepping over the edge and falling off a huge cliff. Luckily, the thick snow cushions his fall, but as he recovers, Taka hears a voice in the distance. He follows the sound and finds Kiros, together with his lionesses, furious and ready to attack him. However, Taka proposes a deal with the outsiders, saying that it was Mufasa who eliminated Kiros' son and that he also has a score to settle with him. So, if his life is spared, he will lead everyone to the group, as well as showing them the way to Malele. With their plans aligned, Kiros accepts the deal and Taka joins him, recognizing him as the true king. After making this agreement, the lion returns to the group and Mufasa tries to tell his brother what happened between him and Sarabi, but Taka interrupts him and tells them to go on their way. Everyone then continues onwards, without suspecting that Taka has left a trail in the stone so that the white lion can follow them. After a long journey across the last mountain, Mufasa and his friends finally reach Malele, a flowery land full of life and prosperity. The group celebrates their victory, especially Rafiki, who finds a huge tree, which he recognizes as the same one he saw in his dreams. The monkey is happy to see that his story was real, but Mufasa asks where the brother he said he would find there is. However, Rafiki reveals that the brother in his visions was Mufasa himself and that he had always been waiting for him to share his life in a new home. The lion is happy to hear this, but before they can celebrate this achievement, a group of giraffes come up to them and tell them that the outsiders are coming. Mufasa tells them and the other animals not to worry, as all the tracks have been broken along the way. However, soon afterwards, Kiros and his lionesses appear and the leader tells them that, from this day on, he will be the new king and orders the animals to deliver Mufasa. The lion, however, asks Rafiki to gather everyone for the battle and Sarabi also offers to help. With his friends by his side, Mufasa goes to find Kiros on the mountain and, to his surprise, he meets Taka, who reveals that he has betrayed his own brother. Mufasa doesn't believe it, but Taka, overcome with resentment, accuses him of having taken everything that was rightfully his kingdom, Sarabi and even the love of his parents. Now he will let him pay at the hands of Kiros, who moves against Mufasa to avenge the loss of his son. Seeing that he can't fight the mighty lion, Mufasa runs to the other side of the mountain. Kiros chases him and jumps towards him, but the young lion pushes him to the other side, causing his opponent to fall out of the hole into a pool of water. Mufasa then takes advantage of the fact that Kiros is unconscious and summons all the animals to fight alongside him. However, the animals question why they should follow him, since this is a matter between lions and they don't have to risk it. Mufasa replies that Kiros is just one of many threats in the world and that only through unity will they be able to stop them. Finally, Mufasa says that no matter their size, origin or strength, all animals are part of the cycle of life and it is therefore their duty to fight to protect it. This speech convinces everyone, who decide to follow the lion and unite to expel the white lions from their land. Despite this, Kiros returns to the battlefield confident of victory and says that no matter what happens, everything the sunlight touches will be his. Mufasa is not intimidated by this and sets out to attack him, but his lionesses protect Kiros and push the lion into a hole. Even though he is bewildered by the blow, the lion recovers and tries to find his way out of the cave. In a surprise attack, Kiros leaps towards Mufasa and knocks him to the ground. The lion manages to strike back and a fierce fight breaks out, but the white lion proves too strong for Mufasa to face alone. The confrontation continues and, from the depths of the cave, Taka appears and sees his brother about to be eliminated by Kiros. At that moment, memories of his happy past with Mufasa begin to torment him and, before the white lion strikes the final blow with his claws, Taka steps forward and protects Mufasa. As a result, he is hit directly in the face and a scar appears on his right eye. Taka pulls himself together and asks Kiros to spare Mufasa, but he doesn't want to give up on his revenge and decides to confront the two brothers. While the fight continues inside the cave, outside, Rafiki asks for the Earth's help to protect Mufasa. Just then, a powerful earthquake starts in Malele and hits the cave, causing part of it to collapse and forming a huge rock which, in the future, will be known as the Pride Rock. The cave in sends the three lions tumbling towards the underground part of the cave, which is covered in water. Taka manages to hold on to the edge, but Mufasa and Kiros fall and continue their confrontation underwater. At that moment, Mufasa remembers his mother's advice and once again uses his instincts to analyze his surroundings. He hears that a huge rock is about to fall into the water and, with Kiros advancing to attack him, the lion pushes him away, causing the white lion to be crushed by the landslide. After emerging victorious from the battle, Mufasa swims to the surface, where Taka is waiting for him. The lion begins to weaken from lack of air, but his brother grabs him with his paws and pulls him out of the water. Soon afterwards, Sarabi appears to help them, but Taka leaves, still harboring resentment towards her and his brother. The lioness then takes Mufasa to meet Malele's animals, who greet him and name him their new king. Mufasa refuses the title because he doesn't have royal blood, but Rafiki tells him that it's not his origin, but his actions that have made him worthy of this honor. So the lion agrees to be king of Malele, but this is not his only achievement. In his kingdom, he meets Afia, his real mother, who had taken refuge after Masego was eliminated. Although he mourns the loss of his father, Mufasa is happy to be reunited with his mother after so many years away from her. After this reunion, it's Mufasa's turn to confront Taka, who begs his forgiveness and asks for the right to remain in Malele. Mufasa agrees to keep him in his kingdom, but because of his betrayal, he refuses to call his brother's name again. Then Taka decides to assume a new identity, Scar, as a reminder of the scar he has earned. Finally, the two brothers separate and, now reunited with Afia and Sarabi, Mufasa is ready to lead Malele, taking his place as the new Lion King. Back in the present, Kiara is happy to finally know her grandfather's story, but regrets not having met him. Even so, Rafiki tells her that whenever she wants to find him, all she has to do is look up at the stars, because he'll always be there, watching her. Kiara then runs to the top of the Pride Rock and calls for her grandfather with a loud roar. In front of the cloudy sky, Mufasa's image forms among the clouds and he roars back, but soon disappears, along with the storm. The sky lights up again and Kiara sees her parents in the distance. Returning to the Pride Rock, she runs to meet them, who introduce her to her younger brother, to whom she decides to tell the story of her grandfather. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.